I'm here with Howard Van Ness, president of Let's Write Books, Inc. Hi, Howard.
Hi, Brooke. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. We're excited to be here tonight.
Very excited, and excited about all the interest on this topic. And I have personally spoken to a lot of you who are joining tonight who have said, yeah, that's me, and I really want to hear more about what I can do about book marketing if I'm a person who doesn't really love it or doesn't really get it. And so we want to introduce ourselves and then get right to business because we're covering a ton. I'm Brooke, and I am the publisher of She Writes Press. I also have a coaching practice called Warner Coaching, and I am personally excited and enthusiastic about this presentation and working with Howard, the work that we're doing together at the Self-Publishing Summit, which we're going to be talking about a little bit later, because Howard is a marketing expert, but that is not my background. I come out of an editorial background. I've been in traditional publishing for 14 years before launching She Writes Press. And one of the interesting things is that even though I was surrounded by marketing, I didn't understand its intrinsic value, especially because I was in traditional publishing and there was a way that things were done, and the correlation to how much marketing you do directly impacts the sales and success of your book. And so that's really what we're about tonight, and I am excited to share my own steep learning curve on that. And Howard, like I said, is a marketing expert, but has certainly had his own journey with all of this, right, Howard?
Yeah, absolutely, Brooke. Thanks for pointing that out. You know, I wrote my first book back in 2002, and I was so focused and so excited about getting the book out, I didn't realize I had to do some marketing. You know, you get your book out, you sell it to your friends, neighbors, and relatives, and a few coworkers, and you know, you sell your first 100, and then you look in your garage and see the rest of your books, and that's when the realization dawns on you that you have to do some marketing. And, you know, throughout the years of self-publishing books, you know, I learned both the easy way and the hard way what it takes to market books. And above all, I learned that if you don't market books, nothing happens. So I certainly began to understand the importance of that in my work. And being an author, as well as somebody who consults with authors, I know that this is a subject that is really, really important to talk about and to get educated on. So I'm delighted to be here tonight to share what I can in the time that we have allotted to us about marketing. So,
awesome.
Brooke, before we go much further, I just want to make sure that the technology is working here, because you know, as I do, that sometimes the technology goes against us. So maybe we could just have people type the word yes in the question box if they can hear us.
Yeah, please. Thank you. Yes. We're getting lots of yeses. Thank you, everyone, for your interaction, too. We always appreciate that. Good to see lots of familiar names out there, so welcome. Thank you. And we want to encourage you to go ahead and put questions into the question box as you want to, and we're probably going to hold off on questions till the end, but if we see something that we're like, oh my gosh, we should definitely be covering that in this particular section, we will. And anything we don't get to, you know, we apologize, but there's lots of ways to talk to us outside of this, or experience us outside of this. So here we go. Can you relate? And here are some of the questions. You know, marketing overwhelms me. Why can't I just write? That's what I hear all the time from my clients specifically, who come to the whole process of wanting to be a published author because they just want to write and don't want to deal with marketing. I hate marketing, and that's a big one. A lot of people also say, you know, marketing is not authentic. I don't want to do that. I don't want to self-promote. I hate that stuff. It just gives them the heebie-jeebies, and we are going to address that tonight. I don't understand it, and that was me. And I was in book publishing for 14 years. I was just like, what would it look like if I closed my eyes and just focused on editorial? And that served me well until I became a published author and a publisher. And finally, what's marketing? So we're here to address those of you who are just outside on left field as well.
Okay, so in this webinar, you'll discover 7 stress-free marketing tips, including the best marketing tools and what to avoid, and I think you're going to be surprised by this, how best-selling authors do it, how to easily get your marketing organized, how to put your marketing on steroids, and the magic of building your fan base. Oh, and more.
And more.
And
there are
more.
more than 7 tips here, so yes.
So we're going to start with your attitude and identity. Each year, almost 400,000 books, or approximately 400,000 books, are released into the world, into the book world, and of which I believe some 300,000 are self-published. So the question, actually, Brooke, if you could put up all the points, that would be great. We don't have to go one at one, because I'm going to bounce around here. Thanks. So if you know that 400,000 books are being published each year, you have to ask yourself, what's going to make my book stand out from anybody else's? And how are people who actually want my book going to find my book? Well, the answer to that is marketing. And unfortunately, the word marketing for many people is a 4-letter word for all the reasons that Brooke just mentioned. But I'm here to tell you that marketing at its best is about building relationships for the long term. If you can sell anybody something once, and they may be happy with it, or they may experience buyer's remorse. But that's not real marketing. Real marketing is building relationships over time. So if you've been thinking that marketing is a 4-letter word, I ask you to reconsider the idea that marketing really is about building relationships. It's about having a dialogue with people and giving them what they want. It's a win-win, not a win-lose. So think about that when you think about marketing. If you write a great book and no one knows about it, it won't sell. If you write a good book and it's marketed well, it can become a bestseller. And as a writer, you probably know that there are tons of books that are not well written that become bestsellers, and it's all because of marketing. And the opposite is also true. How many times have you found this amazing book that nobody's ever heard of? So it happens both ways. So what I want to impress upon you is that if you write a good book and you do some marketing, it has a chance. Otherwise, it just kind of disappears. If you ask any best-selling author what the secret to their success is, they'll tell you that it's marketing. And I came across this this statement a couple of weeks ago, and I just thought it was fabulous. I want to share it with you. Treat your writing like a hobby, and you'll get hobby-like results. Treat your writing like a business, and you'll get business-like results. So let's take a look at what that means. What does it mean to treat your business, treat your writing like a business? Brooke, can we have the next slide, please?
Here we go.
Yeah, great. So what it means to treat your writing like a business. So first of all, you want to look like a business. You want to get business cards, and you want to use them. Everywhere you go, you want to hand out your business cards. This is part of your identity. Create email signatures. Have a website and a blog. And most importantly, keep writing, whether it be writing for your website, writing for your blog, or writing more books. That's where your future lies, is having those assets. Because without those assets, there's nothing to market. The more books you write, the more successful you're going to be. If you remember nothing else from this webinar tonight, remember that more books equal more royalties, more success. And Brooke and I did a webinar a few months ago, and we had and then act like a business. Attend industry events and develop your skills. Join writers groups and network with other people. And this is really important too. Plan time each week to write and conduct your business. If it's just a warm fuzzy, nothing ever gets done. And then finally, have a business plan. Now this could be a business plan or a marketing plan, and it doesn't have to be a 50-page document. It could just be a couple short pages that identify what your goals as a writer are, what your goals for your book is, how it's different than your competition, who is your competition, and how does your book differ from that? How is it better, different, or worse if that's the case? And then perhaps a few ideas about marketing. But to have that document, it'll keep you on course, and give you some direction, and that's really important. And if you're out talking to other people about your book from a business perspective, perhaps for a joint venture or for funding or for some other reason, they're going to be impressed that you have a business plan. So it's going to serve you as well as the people that you come in contact with. Brooke, do you have anything you want to add to this?
Yeah, each of these things that you say is so important, and I talk to my clients all the time about this kind of stuff, and you do too. And one of the things I notice is that a lot of people think it sounds like a really good idea, and then they don't actually do it. So when you say plan time to write and conduct your business, and I know I have to do this for my business, but it means actually scheduling that time in your calendar and sticking to it. There is this piece of acting like a business, and there's a lot of resistance that come up, and I just want to address the resistance, because sometimes the resistance just feels like this big insurmountable thing, and then when you actually do it, as anyone knows who has things that they've been avoiding doing on their to-do list, that then you go ahead and you execute it, and it doesn't take as much time, energy, and it's not nearly as painful as you thought it was going to be. And I really want to drive that point home. The more you do it, the more comfortable it's going to become.
That's right. That's a really good point. And just to add to that a little bit further, without action, nothing happens. We've got to have action. We've got to have energy put into something on a regular basis in order to get something out of it. So scheduling time each week to write and conduct your business is really, really important. The more time you focus on that, the more results you're going to get. Okay.
Indeed. All right, cool. So next we're going to talk about clarifying your goals and end game, starting with the end in mind, which is obvious in some ways, and yet we can lose track, particularly because it's the writing itself that gets in the way. And a lot of people on this call I know are memoirists and novelists, and there's already been some stuff in here about how does this differ between fiction and nonfiction, and I do want to address that, and I will be talking about it as we move forward. We both have some fiction and nonfiction examples, but basically starting with that end in mind, which is what are your goals? And here are some: fame, self-expression, to inspire others, to entertain others, to generate leads for business, to make money. Most of the clients I work with, it really is about self-expression. Lots of people who are on board with the idea of I'm going to get published no matter what. Honestly, those are the people that I like to work with, because lots of people come to me with the idea in mind that they might like to traditionally publish, but if it doesn't work out, they're going to self-publish, which I think is a fine attitude to have. And other people at this point in time just feel like the traditional publishing space is falling apart and they don't want to deal with it, and so they're choosing to self-publish as a first option. Whatever the case might be for you, the end goal is the same. That self-published or traditionally published book should be equally beautiful. It should be something that you're equally proud of, and that you need to have a marketing goal around, whether you have a traditional publisher attached to you or some other form of publishing team. Your marketing team is extremely important. And one of the things that has happened in my trajectory of time at She Writes Press, we're almost 2 years old, is that we started just saying, there's such a thing as a ripple effect with marketing. And I was pretty much on board with the idea of the ripple effect. And it was what I did with my own book. I just thought, okay, well, the book will come out. I'm not going to do any advanced marketing per se. And once it comes out, I'm going to try to see what I can get, and it's going to be fine. Well, it wasn't fine. I mean, my book did okay. I'm not disappointed because I actually had pretty modest expectations for what I wanted. But what I realized is that I missed the boat on so many things, because book publishing just happens and starts very early. Everything is on an advanced schedule. And so this is where it is important to clarify what you want. And if you have a very modest goal and all you want is to be to have a legacy, to publish something for your family, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that as a goal. But if there's a part of you that really wants to sell the hell out of your book, that wants to earn some money, that wants to have some fame, that wants to make a splash, then this is something that needs to get clarified early on. You can't go into it sheepishly. I actually had an author, one of the She Writes Press authors, say to me recently, after having this conversation with her, well, it's interesting because I guess I just needed to have the confidence to think that I actually could sell more copies of my book. And it was like something cracked open for her. She wasn't going to deal with marketing. She didn't want to, but she's been working on her book for 5 years. And then when I pushed her to say, what do you really want for this book? She said, I really want the book to sell well. And that was a huge change from 5 minutes earlier where she said, well, I'm not going to really bother. All I care about is that the book come into the world. So sometimes we need to be prodded to understand what is it that we really, really want, and to be okay with the idea of thinking really big. And because I work with a lot of women, I know that women oftentimes just think small, and it's not because we necessarily think we're small, but it's because there's that confidence gap that happens, and we start freaking out. Oh my gosh, you know, my book is going to be out in the world. It's scary. Who's going to want to read it? The inner critic message starts coming up, and it gets in the way of all of this stuff of clarifying your goals and your end game. And you got to think as big as you want to be. And this is definitely a place where you can't play small. And the way that you play small is by ignoring the marketing thing, because you feel like it's a beast or you can't handle it or it's too intimidating. But just like anything, when you start to get a handle on it, it starts to become less triggering. And so really, this is the space that I want to say. I'm a convert on a million things. I'm a convert on Twitter. I'm a convert on marketing, all this stuff that I once didn't like but now really love. And the reason is because I've grown to understand it. And understanding gives a lot of permission to start to have fun and to enjoy yourself and to do things better. So Howard and I are on a mission here to help you all. If you already have a great relationship with marketing, awesome. But if you don't, to help you become a convert too.
You know, Brooke, that's great. And I want people to know that they don't have to do it by themselves either. That you know, there might be aspects of marketing or can't, right? I mean, there might be aspects of marketing that you really enjoy and aspects that either you don't want to do or can't do, and that there's help out there for you.
Absolutely.
And if you're not sure where to turn for that help, you can start simply by asking either Brooke or myself. Clarifying your goal is that in your end game, it's going to determine your activities, your marketing activities, and your promotional activities, and even your writing activities as it relates to reaching your goal. So, for example, if you have a book that is a legacy book where you're just writing for yourself primarily and for a small group of others, then what you do to market your book might not be so important. If, on the other hand, you're writing a book to generate leads for your business, how your book looks, how it functions, and what you do to market your book will be very, very important. It'll be much different than that legacy book. So it's really important to start with the end in mind as you write and or market your book. Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, so
thank you very much.
We're going to start talking about platform for a second. And one of the things that always happens in platform is where to start and how big to be. I really want to drive this home. Building a platform is a marathon, not a sprint. And that it's important to reframe what you think platform means so that you start to have fun and not feel the pressure. And this is fundamentally important to me. And this is interesting because I've always been a huge advocate and helper around the topic of platform, and that's because platform is pre-publication. And so it's a place that I understood and felt comfortable in as an editor because it was such a fundamental and important piece to deciding who got published at the traditional house, at Seal Press where I worked. So for me, platform has always been something that I've understood as important. And the question is it equally important if you self-publish or traditionally publish? And the answer is yes. And the only point that I would like to make here with regard to self-publishing versus traditional publishing is that it's complicated out there because there is a catch-22, and that catch-22 is that you need a platform to get a published book, However, in the traditional world, however, a platform is developed once you have a book. So there is a chicken and the egg kind of scenario, but that said, it's never too soon to lay the foundation. And so I want to showcase here what the foundation is, what are the building blocks. Social media following, good website, strong database, which Howard's going to be talking about tonight, affiliations and contacts, and then this ultimate goal, which is name recognition. Now, of course, what does that mean to have name recognition? It doesn't mean you have to be someone famous that just rolls off the tongue, you know, and even people who I think that have big platforms, like someone like Dani Shapiro, because she's a best-selling author and she's been on Oprah. Lots of people like that have the big name recognition, but it really just means that you're out there in the world. What Howard said, you're writing, you have publications to your credit, and this absolutely goes for those of you who are memoirists and novelists, because you could be doing shorter form ebook publications, for instance, just to get more inventory on the shelves. Every single one of you should have Facebook and Twitter. And I personally think that if you're overwhelmed by social media, that you stop at that. And one of the big things that we've been talking about is, at the beginning we said, what are some of the things to avoid? And I want to address that. What you need to avoid is getting yourself overwhelmed. And oftentimes people get overwhelmed because they take on too much too soon. And they don't build a following and don't understand that this idea of it being a marathon. And so for me, I really do almost exclusively pay attention to Facebook and Twitter. And although I have some other stuff going on, that's about all I can handle. So I want to let you all know that it's okay to have some parameters, but if you're not doing that, if you don't have a Facebook fan page and or a Twitter account, just start one, start experimenting, have fun with it, see what happens, follow a few people. Again, getting comfortable is the first step towards starting to enjoy it. And then with a good website, what do I even mean by that? Well, we're going to be talking about it later, so I'll save it. And a strong database, like I said, Howard's going to be talking about that. And then affiliations and contacts. Start making a list of every single person you know who could do something for you. And that is hard to wrap your mind around, but everybody knows people who could help them get an interview or endorse their book. I've been amazed by some of the endorsements that my authors at She Writes Press have been able to get. I mean, it's crazy how many people we know that we don't really think of or who we might have access to. So again, like I said, ultimate goal, this may be 5, 10 years down the road, this idea of name recognition, but that really is what the fundamental end goal of a platform is, and it's going to take some time, so it's going to be important to start sooner rather than later. Low stress platform tips. Let me just go through these pretty quickly. So like I said, choose 2 social media platforms that you like or can deal with, and just have fun with those. For writers, I honestly do suggest fiction and Facebook. Twitter and Facebook. Create a social media calendar. Howard was talking about this idea of calendaring earlier, and we're going to be talking about it more later, but this is another way to avoid overwhelm, is to say I'm going to post once a day on Facebook, or I'm going to post 5 times a day on Twitter, and to map those out in advance. Okay, so the other idea is to repurpose your content. This is huge. If you're writing blog posts or other kinds of content, you can extract your social media from something that is written, and I do this all the time. So I'll write a blog post for She Writes, and then I'll pull out social media content out of that blog post so that I'm not constantly having to invent new content all week. And that's a big deal. And any of you who follow me on Twitter, I'd say 50% of my posts on Twitter are things that I get through Google alerts. And that is just setting up alerts through Google to tell me, okay, this is what's happening in self-publishing. This is what's happening in memoir. And it triggers me to go, oh, cool, that's something that I can tweet. So it's actually really easy. So like I said, use tools, well, not only to post for you, but like Google alerts to prompt you to get ideas of things that you might want to tweet about. And like that could be for fiction writers. You guys definitely just think about what your issues are. What are the things that you care about? What are the things that you're writing about in your book? What do your protagonists care about? And those are things that are fodder for social media posts. Use tools to post for you, something like Hootsuite, Hootsuite. F-U-I-T-E, for those of you who are not familiar with it, that allows you to load up your content in advance. And I said, but engage your followers every day. I'm on Facebook and Twitter every day saying thank you, responding to people, but I don't post every day because I have Hootsuite loading up some of my content in advance. Lock down a good bribe to subscribe. We'll talk about what this is in more detail here. We got to power through. We got a lot of content here. But a bribe to subscribe is this idea that you give something away to your readers, and this is through your website, when they sign up for your newsletter. And Howard's going to show that later. And ultimately, this one big, fake it till you make it. And I really want to drive this one home because you're not going to feel comfortable with all of this stuff. It takes a long time. I'm still working out some of my stuff, and man, did I fake it till I made it. I faked it for a long time and felt so uncomfortable with certain aspects of self-promotion and who was I on Facebook and what was I saying on Twitter and what is a tweet. and now I'm comfortable. You know, now I can actually talk about it and speak to it, but it took a little bit of time. And so give yourself that okay and that pat on the back that you're just going to test it out and be out there and give it a go until you feel comfortable. And that time can only come if you start small and think about, you know, the big goal is down the road.
Those are great tips, Brooke. Okay, so
thank you.
You're welcome. If there was if I had a magic wand and I could wave that over your book marketing, I would do it. Of course, there is no magic wand, but I really believe that the next best thing is a marketing funnel. So what is a marketing funnel? Marketing funnel can be the answer to making your marketing super effective while at the same time simplifying it. So think about that. Make it effective and simple. So simply put, a marketing funnel guides a customer through a journey or path to purchase your product or service. We've all had the experience of opting in for a free report or an audio and then being asked to purchase something else at some point in the future. So that exactly is what a marketing funnel is. And this is a very rudimentary marketing funnel that you're looking at on this slide. But the beauty of this is that not only does it help to organize your information, your marketing, it helps to make it effective and simple. And once you set it up, it can run pretty much automatically. So there's a lot of good reasons to use this. And I want to give you a couple examples of what a marketing funnel looks like. So Brooke, can we have the next slide, please? Thank you. Okay, so here's a closer look at the funnel. At the top, you could see that the funnel is very wide and open, and it represents encouraging people to come into your funnel or into your world. And we're looking for a lot of people here, and the bar is setting very low for people to come in. We make it very easy. Then down at the bottom, you can see that the funnel is smaller, and that's where we're moving people to, is that lower place from the top of the funnel to the bottom of the funnel. And at the top of the funnel, we have low cost or no cost options, and the most expensive products and services will be sold at the bottom of the funnel. In between, there might be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different tiers, each going up in price as you approach the bottom of the funnel, where the most expensive offering is. Now, I want to give you a hypothetical example of what a funnel might look like for an author who is an expert on relationships and written a book for shy people. So this is an example of a self-help book, but I'm also going to give you an example of a memoir book in a moment. So for those of you who are not into self-help, hang in there, and we'll get there. So I have some ideas on the screen, but I'm going to be more specific. So at the top of a funnel, we want to have 3 to say $24.95 items. And these might be newsletters, free reports, free audios, free or low-cost ebook, free teleseminar, free webinar like you're on tonight. This is part of our funnel, and you're coming into it with a free webinar or a free workshop. It could be another type of top funnel item. And then let's move down one tier for this self-help book for shy people. Maybe we have a paperback copy of the book, maybe a set of audios or a half-day workshop or a multi-session webinar, or a multi-book purchase, or even an audio, a book, and a workbook, all packaged together. So we're looking at items in the second tier that might run from $24.99 to $99.99. And then the next tier, we might be offering some coaching sessions or coaching packages, maybe a 1 to 2 day workshop or a mastermind group, or maybe some video packages. And then the bottom of the funnel, maybe I have a 5-day training, a 5-day live training that I'm trying to bring people to, and this I might be charging $2,000 for or $5,000 for. So the idea is to bring people into the funnel. Now, people can enter the funnel either at the top, in the middle, or at the bottom, but usually most people begin at the top. And what leads people through the funnel is that they're building trust in your products and services, and you're guiding them through the funnel in your communication with them. So if you were to just meet somebody on the street and say, hey, you know, come to my 5-day training on overcoming shyness, it's $5,000, chances are nobody's going to come to that. And nobody's going to say yes. You might get 1 or 2, but it's going to be a lot of selling to do that. On the other hand, if you are offering a free webinar, which is pretty low bar entry to join, then people will do that. And as they get to know you, and they get to trust you, and as they get to know what great products and services you have, then you can move them to the next step in the funnel as they become more and more comfortable with you and they see the value. So let's have another example. Let's say for a moment that you have a memoir about growing up in Hawaii and your dream is to bring people on tour of Hawaii. Then that would be at the bottom of your funnel. At the top of your funnel, you might have your book. Again, a short webinar, a free report on things to do in Hawaii, or perhaps even a short video on what it's like to visit perhaps your hometown. The next level, you might offer a 2-hour workshop on the history of Hawaii and how to get the most of your vacation there. So let's say that that is the case, that you're doing these 2-hour workshops and you're giving them at your community center, you're giving them at your church, at the Jewish Community Center, at the YMCA, at your local travel club, your community college. Well, you're out there getting paid to do these workshops, but you're also selling your books. So your books help to sell you as an expert, but then also your workshops help to sell your books. So it works both ways. So let's take another tier down. So let's say in the next level, you can offer some consulting services on how to plan your trip to Hawaii, or perhaps a package of videos or books about Hawaii. So as you can see, as you go down the funnel, you're giving greater and greater service and charging more and more. And perhaps the bottom of the funnel could be that you are taking people on a group tour to Hawaii, or perhaps even a personalized tour to Hawaii. So in there, you're charging thousands of dollars. You know, it's been said that the real money in publishing is not in books. It's in what that leads to. And when you think about it, it could work both ways. And if you really enjoy speaking and you want to get in front of hundreds of people, that could help. You could get paid to do that if you have a book. At the same time, you'll be selling lots of your books. So having a book opens the doors to a lot of different things. And what I would suggest to you is that you think about that. Now, I know that some of you are saying, oh, well, I just want to write books and sell books. And I would say to you, that's fine. Then create packages of books and bring those packages of books deeper into your funnel. So you just can't stay, if you're thinking that you can only write and that you'll never have to market, well, then you're not going to sell books.
And I want to say, Howard, I just have a few clients who that they're best-selling authors actually, and they can't even make a living on their books alone. They're teaching, they're doing other kinds of things, and so part of this is wrapping your mind around the value of the funnel, and sometimes it's just a mentality shift that it's a bit of a fantasy that you can have a living only on making books. Now, a couple of genre fiction writers can, because they're churning out 2 books a year or something like that, but even those people, there's a jumping off point, like we're saying, the experts that we inside your novel and content inside of your memoir that you can turn into products. And sometimes you're going to need some help figuring all of that out, and that's part of what Howard and I do. But it's exciting, and it takes a mentality shift sometimes, particularly for people who are like, oh, well, I just want to write a novel, but it's bigger than that, or it should be.
Right. That's very well said, Brooke. Thanks for identifying that. If you're writing, no matter what you're writing, I mean, you are writing, and that means that you can teach other people how to write, even if that's what you do in your workshops or you put into your funnel. And once you take or once you change the lens that you're looking through, and you see all the possibilities that are available to you when you start looking at your writing as a business, and through the lens of a funnel, I think it gets really exciting because it opens up so many doors and so many possibilities for you. And then the really exciting thing is that once you've created your funnel, it can run on autopilot. And once this process is set up to run on autopilot, it makes it really effective, super effective. And in the beginning, we said, to learn to market like the big boys. Well, this is how the big boys market. This is how successful marketing is done. So at the beginning of this segment, I said if I had a magic wand and could wave it, I would. But the next best thing is this funnel. This is it. This is the big one. So take note and consider it carefully, because it could change not only your life, but how you function within the concept of marketing and writing your books.
Absolutely. And one thing that I want to share is that these things can be quite niche. I had a novelist who, she was doing thrillers, and basically she discovered through the writing that she happened to be really good at writing sex scenes, and people just were writing her like, oh my God, it's so amazing. And other novelists were saying, how do you do that? And, I'm so intimidated. And so she started teaching classes and teaching other novelists how to write sex scenes. And lo and behold, pretty soon she was getting invited to conferences to do sex scene writing workshops. And then that led into bigger things. I mean, it's like it sounds like the most niche thing in the world, and her business had exploded. And she was doing this almost full time and had basically ended up leaving her job just to write books and to teach around the country. So it's totally possible within a very niche framework. And so it's really to ask yourself what gets you hyped up and what gets you excited about some of the stuff that you're doing within the context of your writing. So I just wanted to tack that on.
That's a great story. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about building your fan base. Another really juicy tip, another thing. All these points that we're touching on, these 7 points, Brooke and I feel, are essential to your foundation as a writer and foundation, excuse me, as an author. So one of the hardest things to do, or the most expensive thing, let's put it that way, in the world of business and marketing, is to acquire a new customer. So every time that you spend that money to acquire a new customer, if you're constantly doing it over and over again, it creates a lot of work and a lot of expense. So what we want to do is build relationships with people over time and build our fan base. So let's say that you started today, you have 10 people in your fan base, or database would be another word for that. And in 2 years' time, you have 5,000 names. In 3 years' time, you have 10,000 names in your database. Well, let's say that you come out with a new book 3 years from now, and you have 10,000 names to email to, and you're making them aware of your new book. Well, you know what? At least thousands. So it's really important that you establish a fan base or a database and build upon that as a way of future sales and for connecting with your fan base. And whether it be book sales or something else that we pull out of your funnel, like a workshop. If you're that memoirist from who writes about Hawaii, and you're leading a tour to Hawaii, and you've been sending out a monthly newsletter to those people, and you announce to your 10,000 people that you're going to be taking a group to Hawaii, well, you know, some portion of those people are going to sign up for that because they've known you and you've interacted with them. So it builds trust, it builds relationship, and you're giving people what they want. So those are the reasons why we want to do that. So here's how we do that. We do that by capturing emails primarily. So the first thing that we want to do is to have an email capture device on your web page, and Brooke's going to talk a little bit about web page essentials in a moment, but if we could just go to the next slide so I can show what those things look like. We've all seen these on websites. The one on the left is offering a free gift. You just put your name, your first name, and your email address, and you get instant access. And here's one on the right from a famous publishing company. She writes, is that from She Writes?
That's mine from Warner Coaching.
Oh, from a famous coach, sorry. So this one's offering valuable publishing tips and writing inspiration. And again, these are just ways of connecting with people and inviting them into your funnel. And Brooke, you had used the term at the beginning, something freebie. What was it? Do you remember what that was?
The bribe to subscribe.
Yes, exactly. So here are some examples of bribe to subscribe. And these are what we see on websites all the time. So I just want to bring that to your awareness. If we could go back to the last slide, the previous slide, that'd be great. So you could put offers in your book. I tell all my authors to make sure at the back of the book that they're inviting people to go to their website to download a free chapter, download a free report, a free audio, whatever it is, to connect with people. Also, on the back of your business card, you could be offering people something as a way of driving them to your website or capturing their email. You could be posting offers on social media. If you're out speaking, you can pass around a sheet of paper and get people's emails. When you're networking at events and conventions, you can capture emails there. So these are just some beginning ways to begin to capture your database. And then, of course, you're going to need some place to put those names. And Brooke, were you planning on talking about that, or do you want me to quickly mention those services?
Which services?
You know, okay, I'll mention
I don't think so. Yeah.
All right. So you need some place to put the emails. You need to connect that to something where you can store these emails, this database, and build it. And there's 3 or 4 different services out there that are pretty well known. The first, which is free to join and use up to 2,000 names, is MailChimp. A very easy program to use, and your web developer can hook that up for you, or you can do it yourself, not a big deal. And you can have up to 2,000 names stored in there for free, even before they charge you. Another service like that is called iContact, and they also have a free beginning service, but it's not nearly as large as MailChimp in terms of their initial free offerings. But there's a lot of robust tools and resources there. And then in terms of the Ferrari of the database world, there's Infusionsoft, which Brooke uses, and this is an amazing tool, but is really requires both investment of time and money to understand and learn. And probably most of you at this stage don't need that. But Brooke, can you say a little bit more about Infusionsoft?
Yeah, I mean, just briefly, that it's very powerful. And I wouldn't even recommend that you get it until you individually if that's something that they feel they're ready for.
Okay.
Cool. All right.
All right,
so
go.
go. Yeah, so with regard to the great website, what does that mean? Needs to be attractive and functional. When in doubt, use WordPress. I'm talking to people all the time, and I see their websites, and they look outdated, and it is obvious to people when you get to an outdated website. And I just think that a lot of authors or aspiring authors think, well, it's not that big of a deal, it's working. But the truth is that it is a big deal, and aesthetically pleasing and modern websites are important. So if you don't have one and you're dealing with something from the 1990s, it's just time to give your website a facelift. Also, of course, it needs to be functional. It needs to have a call to action. Howard just went over these. Sorry, I didn't understand your question, but yes, all of those databases that he just mentioned that capture email addresses. So the one that he shared in the last slide was mine. Anyone who wants to check it out and see how it works, you just put in your email address and your name, and then you get an autoresponder that gives you that free report that is the 8 publishing tips. And so you want to think about something that you can give away to people when they sign up to be on your mailing list or in your database. Social media icons are a must, and this one's so important. People just don't seem to always pay attention to it, but this is one obvious way to help people connect with you through your website and go into your social media. And again, if you're like, what is that? What is a social media icon? You can check it out on my site, which is warnercoaching.com, and right underneath my bribe to subscribe mailing list thing is follow me. Give people something that they're going to feel excited about, that they're like, ooh, that's something that I could really use. You know, so like the sex scene woman might have written 10 tips for how to write great sex scenes. So things like that can be really helpful. How to write good dialogue, how to research your novel, all kinds of things can be really great free giveaways. You just have to think about what's relevant for your book. And then be clear on your site's purpose. What is the call to action? It's fine to have a pretty postcard of a website, but if you're an author, you want to be telling people about your products and advertising your book. I always tell people to go ahead and put up a tab for their book, even if it's not written yet, and that may come as a surprise, but I want to encourage you all to do it. And so again, what is its purpose? What do you want people to do when they get there? So these are some places to start. And finally, if you don't know what you're doing, hire someone to help you. Can't say that often enough. All right, Howard, we better get going because we want to save a little room for Q&A.
Yeah, okay. So last but not least, number 7 is to create a marketing calendar, and you can put up all the points.
Okay.
I think that having a marketing calendar goes hand in hand with having a funnel. They're both really important, and they interact with one another. So I like to use either a 90 or 120-day calendar, and I plug in when certain marketing activity is going to take place. Okay, so I'm going to be doing social media Mondays and Wednesdays between 9 and 10, and on Wednesday at 3 o'clock, my copy is due to the magazine, and I have a book launch event on the 20th, and so I have a KDP giveaway promotion plan for the 30th, and so I put these on my schedule so I can just look at my schedule and know what I'm going to do. Otherwise, it is impossible to stay organized, and it's impossible to hold all that in your head. Also, it's a great tool for helping you plan and take a look at what you're doing and how you're doing it, and that could integrate very, very easily with your marketing funnel. So those two tools are, I think, everything that we're talking about tonight are essential, but those are two great planning and organizing tools that you can use for all of your media. If where you're at is just beginning and you need to set up a website, you can put on your marketing calendar, interview web designers Friday between 10 and 11, or post an ad for a web designer between 10 and 11 on Friday. Whatever it is that you're doing, whatever marketing activity you're involved in or want to be involved in, you can put on your calendar, and this will give you structure and foundation, so you don't have to hold in your head, you don't have to feel overwhelmed, and it'll help keep you organized. I love this term, marketing whack-a-mole, which I've come to understand has been coined by Betsy Fassbender, who is a She Writes author, and I can easily see what she means by this, because the idea, there's a game called whack-a-mole, which the mole pops out of a hole, but we don't know which hole it pops out of, and when it pops out, we try and bang it down or hit it. with a stick, and sometimes marketing can become like that. So if you don't have a plan, then all of a sudden you're going to get all these different offers in time to market, and you don't know if they fit into your schedule. They don't know if you fit into your plan, and you don't know whether you can make a decision on them or not. So having a calendar and having a organized funnel helps to avoid that. Okay, we've already said that a marketing calendar keeps you focused and moving towards your goal. You know what to do when, and really important, it provides a record of your results. So at the end of 90 or 120 days, you're able to look back and see what was effective and what wasn't. Well, you know, I put an ad in this publication, or I spent $1,000 on doing a press release with a press release company, but you know, I saw no results from that. Is that really worth putting it into my plan for next quarter or not? Or I spent so much money at a literary event and I didn't make any connections. Is that worth doing again? So you know what? It's really a great record of results, and our history. It said is our history determines our future, and it's true to a certain extent. We need to look and learn from what's transpired, and having some way of detailing that, like a marketing calendar, will do that for you. And then finally, this can be electronic or paper, and the nice thing about doing it electronically, like with Google Calendar, is that you could share it with other people who are on your team, whether you have somebody doing marketing, or your PA or a VA, or you have somebody doing your social media, or somebody assigned to your public relations, or some other aspect of your marketing team or your business team, to have a singular document that you all can go to and know what's happening when, will help keep you all organized and working towards a similar goal, which is really powerful and really important. Brooke, do you have anything you want to add to this?
Yeah, no, I think we can move forward and take some time for questions at the end, I hope, because we have a few more things that we want to say, if that's okay to go, Howard?
Yeah, go right ahead.
All right,
yeah.
Perfect. And so I do want to start by asking, and we're going to take questions and answers at the end, and we'll stay on for a few more minutes for those of you. There are a lot of questions, and I want to make sure that you all leave here getting the information that you need. But if you found one or two ideas valuable tonight, we would love to ask you to type yes into the window so that we know we're on track. And we want to do that, you know, on purpose. So part of this is, too, we're talking about engaging your audience and asking you guys if you're getting something out of what we're sharing. And so we're getting lots of yeses, and thank you. And
Great.
we do welcome
Great.
feedback. And so now I want to invite you, and you can see what we're doing here. Just the model is that we are offering for you to come be with us in person at the Self-Publishing Summit 2014. And if you got a lot out of tonight, then you can imagine what it's going to be like to hang out with us for 2 whole days in California, focusing on marketing. And we have lots of fun ideas. We are going to do a lot of hands-on. We can help you guys personally develop your funnels, and talk about the very specifics of how to implement things like platform. I saw a few questions in the window there saying, for instance, do I have to have a fan page, or can it just be my friend page? It does have to be a fan page, and we'll talk to you about that and what to do. All the time I hear stuff from people, what do I possibly have to say on social media? You know, I don't know. I'm a novelist. I don't have anything. Wrong. You know, you have a lot, and I work with a lot of novelists, and we'll help you with that. This idea of how to turn your book into a cash machine and divvying up your content, one of Howard's favorite things to do. And both of us repurpose our content in a lot of different ways and create products. So we'll share how to do that and how to maximize the benefit of social media without it becoming a major time suck. I think the biggest thing that people are afraid of when it comes to social media is how much of a time suck it is, and that it takes you away from the saying, why are you here? You know, you're here because you love to write, because you have a book idea, because you want to be a published author, and all of a sudden you enter into this world and people are like, oh, guess what? You have to do your platform. You have to deal with social media. And I think a lot of people are assaulted by that and don't like it and feel mad and they want to stomp their feet. Unfortunately, that can only get you so far. You know, at some point you got to stop stomping your feet and just roll with it. And the sooner you start to have fun with it, the better for you. And we want to share a few more things that we're going to be doing. 7 keys for book marketing success. which is going to be a lot like today, only more specific. The secrets of a successful author website. So we're really going to get into detail about the author website and exactly what you guys need to do as authors on your site and things to pay attention to. Why distribution matters. Man, I am excited to talk to you guys about distribution. We haven't even touched on it today, but this is big, and my own learning curve has been so steep, and whether you're traditionally published or self-published, you guys got to understand distribution. So enough said on that. And then a special offer, which is the Pitcherama, which is, this is cool because we're going to tell you that you're going to have an opportunity to get the Pitcherama for free tonight. So here we go. This is really a good offer, needless to say. The Self-Publishing Summit is $3.99, but if you register tonight, it is only $1.99. And so you save $200, and this is the early bird registration to take advantage of. And you can bring a friend for only $99, so the both of you can go for under $300. And you get a free author photo or headshot, so that's a $75 value. Last year, everyone was so excited about these headshots, and I've seen them everywhere. People are using them on their websites. People are using them in their books. So that was hugely successful, and people loved it, so we're doing it again. And then we're doing a free raffle ticket for everyone who enters, and we'll be selling more raffle tickets there. But we have a Kindle Fire. We have a book cover design giveaway. We're going to be giving away lots of stuff, so I'm super excited about that. And for anyone who registers tonight, you'll get to attend the evening pitch session for free. And if you've already registered, don't worry, we will gift this to you as well if you're listening and feeling like, oh man, I already registered. And so this is just a lot of good stuff. Howard?
Yeah, we need to tell them what the pitch session is, actually. So I'm not sure
please
go
ahead.
Okay, well, the pitch session or the Pitcherama is an opportunity to refine your elevator pitch. So whether you're out talking to your neighbor or a book buyer or media, you've got to be able to speak quickly and succinctly about your book, and we're going to help you do that. We're going to help you refine your elevator pitch, as it's called, and help you create a perfect pitch that night, and we're going to have a lot of fun doing that. So normally that's a $37 fee, but if you register tonight, we're going to give that to you for free. So there's just even a greater bonus. Pretty soon, if we give away anything more, we're going to have to pay people.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, and this is, you know, we had a great time last year, and last year was more about publishing. This year is more about marketing, and we've come up with some really exciting concepts here, and you guys obviously can go check it out more on the site and see what is on there, and please email us. But tonight is the end of the early bird registration, so we hope that you'll take advantage of it. And for those of you who are far away from California, certainly we understand that there's a major travel consideration, but we do have room block rates, very good and discounted price. And Marin, California is absolutely beautiful, so you could maybe possibly build a vacation around it and come to the summit and then have some days in San Francisco on, you know, the front end or the tail end. You know, certainly not a hard place to travel to. And so we invite you and hope to see you there. And we literally are at time. And so I would like to spend, obviously people can leave, and we thank you so much for being here. But I also do want to, can we take maybe 5 minutes to answer some questions, Howard?
Sure. I just want to reiterate the URL before we do that. I'm not quite sure that we did that, so just in case I missed it or wasn't said it, it's Self-Publishing Summit 2014, 2014.com. Self-Publishing Summit 2014.com is our website for the summit. So yeah, let's take some questions. Absolutely.
Some of it was just about, you know, clarifying some things, and I do want to, you know, for instance, something simple, what is an email signature? And then also if we could restate, and not necessarily get into, but restate the names of those different databases, email capture systems. So I'm actually going to type them in so that you guys can see in the chat window specifically, MailChimp, iContact, Infusionsoft, and then Howard, maybe you could just say what an email signature is and what it should involve.
Sure. So an email signature simply means that there's a standard piece of information that's going out with every email that you send out. And this could be, if you're using, I don't know how to do it outside of Outlook because I only use Outlook, but if you're using Outlook, you can just, or whatever email client you're using or email service that you're using, you can just Google how to add a signature to a email, and it'll come up. But basically, you're either adding a typed piece of information, like on emails that I send out right now, I'm announcing the Self-Publishing Summit, so that's my signature for the time being. You could also create an image and have an image of some sort put into your email that goes out with every email. So you might want to put the front cover of your book along with the address of your website and send that out. Or it could be the fact that you're the author of such and such a book, and then your website address. Or you could say, you could mention something that's upcoming, like join me at my book launch party, on May 30th, and give the link and let people find it online. So it could be used in a lot of different ways. Yeah. Okay.
Perfect. All right. And so, I mean, so many questions, and we're not going to be able to get to all of them. But thank you all for the good questions. And this one I always get, so I'll say something. Writes a novel is excited about their topic. There has to be something that drove you to write that novel in the first place. And so it's to look at what is in your novel or what is in your memoir that are issues. What are things that excite you that you feel that you can talk about? And sometimes it takes writing down ideas and categories and things that recur, as a common theme in your book, and then to start to post Facebook posts and tweets about those topics. And like I said earlier, with Google Alerts, it gives you an opportunity to track some of those kinds of things, and you can post about that or your thoughts. And the other thing to write about is the writing process itself. There are so many people on Facebook and Twitter who just want to talk about writing. It's amazing. And on Facebook, or rather Twitter in particular, the hashtags function for you to be able to be in conversation with people about a particular topic, like books, for instance, hashtag books or hashtag self-pub for self-publishing. And if you search those hashtags, you can see what people are writing about in that conversation, and then you can add to that conversation and give your thoughts. I think that people oftentimes just don't understand that Howard said at the very beginning that this is about engaging. It's about having a conversation. It's about relationship building, and that really that's all social media is. It's so simple, but people get their minds wrapped around an axle on it. And so really it's just like going out to a dinner party and talking to friends. So the question about blogging, and this one comes up too. Do you really have to blog? What do you think about that, Howard?
Well, that's an interesting question. I think that you don't have to blog. I think that if you do blog, then you're going to gain some amazing benefits. You don't have to do anything. Any of the things that we talked about tonight are optional. The more pieces of the marketing pie that you put into place, the more effect it'll have. And we know that blogging is really helpful because it's a way of connecting and finding your audience over time. It's a way of weaving through the web, weaving to your social media and weaving to your website. You can go back to your Author Central page on Amazon with your blog, and you can repurpose that information, or repurpose content can be used in your blog. So I think the blog is really important. Do you have to do it? No, you don't. If you do it, there'll be a lot of benefit to doing it.
Yeah, absolutely. No, that's very, very important. I mean, this is the thing. It's this question of, do I have to? And no, you really also need to consider the things that are going to be helpful and that feel good to you. But certainly, each of these things, like Howard said, does contribute a little bit more and a little bit more. And so it's a big deal. Kenny, this is a good question. It asks, can you talk about media kits? How do you suggest an author divide their time between writing new material and promoting existing works? So I'll take the first one about media kits. I mean, I think it's a great idea to have a media kit for your book to send around to reviewers and people who are interested in excerpting. Media kits can exist in two different ways. One is for your book and one is for you. So you can have a media kit that is all about you, the author, and then you can have a media kit that is about your book. And I think that they're both tremendously valuable and something that you want to consider getting made for yourself that you could have on your website. And certainly when a book comes out, having a media kit, and that is something that we could talk a bit more about at the summit as well.
Yep.
And then what do you think about this idea of dividing your time between new writing and promoting existing work?
Well, I think that's a really interesting question, and I think that you have to, again, think with the end in mind. What is your goal, let's say, for this year, for the next 12 months? What is your outcome at the end of the year? What is it that you want to have happen? And where are you in relationship to that in terms of your career? So if you're just beginning and you want to create a lot of product, then you need to find time to write. If it's really hard to answer that, but both of them are really important. And I think it is a matter of personal taste and judgment or a discussion, because, if you have a lot of product and, that's not being marketed, then we need to give more time to marketing. If, on the other hand, you only have one book and it may be in your best interest to give more time to writing at this time, but also some time to marketing. So it's not one or the other, but in terms of a week, well, maybe you divide it up in terms of a week, but you could also divide it up from week to week or month to month. So you could say, well, you know what, I'm going to I'm going to spend the next month solely focused on my writing with maybe 10-15% of my time given to marketing. On the other hand, as you start to grow as a writer and grow as a marketer, you're going to find that there's things that that are going to need to be handed off because you're not going to have the time to deal with them. You're going to need an assistant to hand off some of that stuff too. So this is a kind of a hard question to give a very clear, directive answer to, but a lot of it depends on what your goals and aspirations are and where you are in your writing career. Beyond that, I really can't give a clear, honest answer, except that both are important. Do you have anything you want to add?
No, that's great. I mean, I think this is the thing, it's like each of us has to figure out what the right balance is for us on some level. So it's, and we can give suggestions certainly, but yeah, it's great. Thank you. And I think that this is a great question to end on, actually, which is, when do you suggest we start marketing? It's almost made for the little packaged answer, and it literally is now. If you took something out of tonight's webinar that you think you can implement, whether it is, just starting a Facebook fan page or calendaring your time for marketing, or even if it's just the realization, wow, all of this stuff overwhelms me and I really hate marketing and I need to do something differently about it, then that's just an awareness that you can take away and start to figure out how can you change your relationship to marketing. But literally, yes, tonight would be a good time.
Yeah, I couldn't have said that better myself. Right this moment. You've already started. If you're on the webinar, you've already started. So before we go, and I know it's time, I just want to remind people about the summit and what a great value we're offering to you tonight. So if you're thinking about joining us, make sure you check out the website, selfpublishingsummit2014.com, and we would love to have you. Brooke, it's been a pleasure working with you as always, and I want to thank everybody for being on the call with us tonight.
Thanks, Howard. I agree. It's always fun to do these presentations with you. I'm especially looking forward to our in-person time together in California. And thanks, everyone, so much. Have a great, great night, and we hope that you'll come to California and spend some time with us in June. Thanks, everyone.
Good night.
Good night.